Hello, everybody. We're doing episode here of Finding My Way with Liga. We're going to talk primarily try to focus today on the market psychology, how with last episode we talked about the trader psychology, how your psychology affects the trading, chasing, anger, greed, all that. And in this episode, we're going to try to talk about how the market psychology is something you got to think about the big picture of the market, where it's going, the traders in the market, who the market's trying to take money from, where that money is going to. Every trade is a pair. Um, so think about who's winning and losing in the pair and why they would want to be doing certain things. Um, Gonna kick off with the reviews first. I think we talked a lot about stats, trying to edit things up, tweak it, optimize it, and all of that. Um, and this week we should have some recordings of like how longs and the shorts went, um, what maybe any edits to the strategy, what he's looking at, and stuff like that. So we're gonna go and kick it off. What you got for the first trade, Liga?
So we're gonna start on. Let's see. We're gonna start on. Well, I guess we could start on Monday. I think you reviewed some on Monday already. So just to set context, I was red for 6 days straight. I think it was, or something, or 5 days straight. And then I just to tip off on the last episode, we had a 3 hour episode about psychology, and boy, oh boy, did I get psychologically screwed last week. I went on a really bad losing streak, and I was making some really stupid chasing trades. So this is kind of the tail end of it on Monday, Tuesday, and started cleaning up yesterday and today. In the last 2 days, today was a small green, but yesterday was a good sized green. So, um, we are here early. Let's see. So I took a late. This was a late trade, and you told me you started trading at 1:30, and I was like, yeah.
That's
I'm
actually not what I meant, but I see
Okay.
what you mean.
What you mean then? I was like, yeah, I
Oh
started
no,
trading.
I was just confirming the time.
Oh,
I was
okay,
like,
okay. I
is
was
this
like,
1:30?
should I not be trading at 1:30?
No, I was literally just checking the time. I was like,
Okay.
is this so I could compare it to my own
Yeah.
chart?
I missed some I well, so okay, so I'm gonna tell you, Monday I saw a couple trades early on that I like subconsciously took and didn't, and I don't know if it's because I was getting interrupted or what. But they went in my direction, right? Of course. And then I finally took one and it failed, and then I took another one and it went. So we'll start with this first one. So I was looking, and I know you reviewed these, but I was looking for this downtrend here on this first trade, and I went way too early. And I believe I also took this at the bottom of the wick here. So I got stopped out on the leg back up here. I didn't have full confirmation yet of the structure break. Um, but I was trying to not do, I guess, not do a knife catch and not be late on the trade. And I did the total opposite, and I went way too early. And we weirdly enough, it was already in a downtrend on the 1 minute. On the 5 minute, let me see here. This was the third, right? So on the 5 minute, we hadn't crossed yet. It was literally like right here on the five. You could see I was literally just trying to be early on. I was like, I'm not doing this late. And then I know me and you talked about how to kind of fix that, but
Yeah.
I took four cons straight for 20. This is before I made the 10-point correction, but took four cons straight for 20. Just not good trade. Just not, things weren't lined up yet. I was just early. RSI was kind of all over the place still. It hadn't crossed in the five. Um, just straight up, just not a good trade.
Right. Okay, let's think about let's do the process that you should take every time you go to get into a trade. So thinking about you mentioned to me at one point like you wish things were more mechanical, and but unfortunately the market is super discretionary, but there's still mechanical aspects that you can and I would say should use to make it more systematic. So looking at what you got the five here. That's it. A little too dark. Change that to yellow. You get the one on the left, five on the right. Um, where's my pen? There it is. So coming into it, can you actually scrunch this five up a little bit? Squish that so you can see. Okay, so coming into it, the first thing you should do um, is take a look at how this chart has this massive leg, right? That part is obvious. Um, right, and then considering that massive leg, we're coming into about maybe the 50% into the GP, right? So you got to take that into account every time you look at the chart. Look to the left, see what's going on, what you see, and then what the current like smaller trend looks like. So what you see right now, right on the 1 minute is a clear uptrend, but on the left, you know that we're right about in the pocket of some huge resistance. Um, so there's that. And then so that I think your trade, considering so you were trying to short, I think that makes sense from a I mean a macro perspective. You know that we are looking at something in the pocket of this area. So you can take a short and then yeah, you see that it's a 1 minute structure break, all right. But yeah, it was ultimately like you're saying, you chased it. Um,
Yeah, and I got faked out pretty hard. And I think yesterday, I think it was like I had told you I was like I finally was after we had a long conversation. I was like, I'm waiting more and more. And like if I'm a little bit late, it's okay. I'd rather be a little bit late on like a real big one than like too early and then get stopped out or something. And I don't know. I have to get better with the chasing, and I have to get better with like the being able to pick out like continuation or an actual like reversal or something because I definitely find myself second guessing myself like in a leg of continuation and like where to enter and where to exit. Like exiting not so much, but more so entering. Like I don't know. I just don't want to, don't want to pull the trigger sometimes. But then I pull the trigger and then this happens. Pull the trigger way too late.
right. I mean, so I'd say the most important thing is like I said, is when you think you see. So you knew that we were coming into this area, which is resistance, and you know what? That worked. Um, you knew that, right? But then you see the 1 minute, and what you got to remember to do is to fib that out. Don't like when you want to enter. You know what I've noticed in like personal psychology is when you want to enter, when you think you see the momentum, when you think that, you're usually right but early. Is I'm usually right but early. So what you have to do is as soon as you really want to enter, until you've tuned your psychology to the point that you can actually your inner your gut algo, when you want to enter, instead just fib and wait for the pullback. So
Yeah.
but ultimately, I mean, yeah, this one, yeah, just a chase. I mean, eventually you did get, and you know what? By the time the 5 minute MACD actually turns all the way around, you did this backwards, by the way.
I always do
Um,
them backwards. It's
I
just
think
all
you
today.
should go ahead and just make that reversed or whatever, instead of as your default. But because you can fib whichever way you want. You just gotta hit the reverse button in the settings. But yeah, so yeah, when you want to enter fib instead and wait for the pullback, because if you had fibbed, um, if you had fibbed it out, it would have just blasted right through your GP, and there would have been no entry. And then what you can find is that when it like blasts through all the front running people, like here you were a front runner. It's like I was about to say when it blasts through the front running noobs, and your goal is to not be one of the front running noobs.
Yep.
So it's like here, it's like it was just ripping through the front running noobs, right? And then once it does that, and here's a good so throughout this we'll just string throughout this whole episode, the market psychology tips is don't the market is the market obviously is not an entity. I'm going to try to not talk in any like fake esoteric crap, but the market is not an entity, but it's a bunch of entities, and some of them are really strong, and they know how to screw people, and they do in fact know how to herd people into a position and how to run them up to the top so they can get better entries. Like the market does know how to do that. Like there is market manipulation. The market is trying to screw you. It's trying to screw everyone. Um, Key players in the market are right. So it's like after it stops out the front running noobs, then you can look for your signal. And it's like, yeah, maybe you still accidentally go in too heavy. I mean too early, but you know what? This right here, I think, is around 155, which means like even a 10-point stop would have been all the way up here, and that wouldn't have got stopped out. So it's like, point is, if you waited for the market to screw the noobs and then just waited for a red candle, it's like this entry would have been golden. It wouldn't have got stopped out and it would have hit so many targets. So always wait. Like when you think you see the 1 minute signal, you gotta wait. You gotta wait. You gotta fib it out. Better to miss it than risk it. And you really have to believe that. Even I have trouble following that phrase sometimes still. And because I know how to trade, because I do have edge, I can usually still scrape together profit, but I would be so much better off if I just actually ingrained that into my mind and was willing to miss it all the time. Um, so yeah, and then ultimately later, what do you have here? Is it pops you out, and then you know that you still could be right, like you still believe in your long-term thesis. But what were you thinking here? Let me not narrate for you. You go ahead.
So yeah, I basically waited and I let it chop. And just seeing this, like longer wicks, got the actual cross on the 1 minute, got the cross on the RSI, got started going down, and I actually waited for it to actually really point down. I didn't just enter on the cross.
Hmm.
And then looking at the five, right? The 5 minute, we also have basically the cross here too. So it was
Yeah.
really
Hmm.
waiting for the 5 minute cross. Like you said, the one has a lot of noise, and I think I said that to you myself also.
Yeah.
So really waiting for the five to kind of give me the other signal.
Hmm.
Was the ultimate thing there. And then I just basically waited for a good candle. I mean, I saw like these dojis, like in these upward wicks here, these I guess inverse hammers, just kind of the tall tale sign. We still had, like you were saying, we still had strong candles here, strong full bodied candles, and then we just kind of went to these really small, and you see the roll off. Um,
Yeah.
and that's basically, yeah. So I entered towards the middle of this candle once it broke down, and that was it. I just let it go. I took my 20 points at the bottom here.
Yeah.
And then I had moved my profit stop way up, and took the remaining two at 137. So I didn't really lose that much. I mean, I I don't remember exactly where, but I think I was starting to work on the 2 or the 3 bar stop. Um, and so I
Yeah.
must have moved it down to here somewhere, and it's got stopped out where 137. So 137, yeah, like
Yeah.
right here.
That
So
one can be tough. That 2 bar stop that I was
yeah,
saying. I mean, it is just a methodology. Like you say that we're gonna. I mean, this can be kind of psychology. You say that you wish things were more mechanical, but you do have the opportunity to make some mechanical discretionary rules that give you an
yeah,
advantage. Like for example, the 1 minute has a lot of noise. All right, mechanical rule. When you see the 1 minutes crossing down, wait for green, right? Because you know there's noise, and you see that the 1 minute's coming down, and Brandon mentioned this in the BRT. Wait for the green wave to then flush it again, right? The 5 minute, similar thing, right? On the MACD, it's like when the wait for the green wave to then try to catch the move into the red. Wait
Yep.
for the green wave to try to catch the move into the red. On the RSI, you see this is steadily making uh lower highs, higher lows, except right here. It's a little tricky. Wait for it to pop back above the average so then you can catch the short back under the average. So there's some mechanical rules. It's like when you see the structure break, always fib, always. And
Yeah.
there's a mechanical rule. Um, so you can definitely look at that stuff. I mean, even here on the 5 minute RSI, it's like looking bullish, definitely looking bullish. And it's like, oh, dip above the average, not that big of a deal. Big smack below the average. All right, pop above the average, back test to the 50, then you get your short. And it's like, oh, this one is tricky. This is definitely oh, well, this is 4 o'clock, so that makes sense.
Yep. That's
Um,
farther out. Well, yeah.
so
Yep.
definitely those are some mechanical things. I think this trade right here is awesome. And here is the crap that the market is trying to screw people. I mean, we were just chatting about ICT, SMC, whatever, him as a trade, how all of the philosophies and the person aside, one reason that ICT style trading can be great is because it talks about the sweeps of the liquidity. And there's definitely some stuff to think about when a high breaks out. It'll keep you ready for the scenarios because when we break out of a high, all right, the market can try to screw traders in multiple ways. It can try to screw the shorts by just continuing to squeeze. It can try to screw the top buyers, which is what ICT style looks for, where it sweeps the liquidity and then dumps. But if you're looking for, and that's where some ICT traders I think get caught up is because they try to short without the confirmation on the liquidity sweep. But that aside, they're
Hmm.
all traders can improve in their own ways. We all have weaknesses. Um, but yeah, so it's like this trade here. It's like you let the market screw you because you chased, but then you identified it, and this is the kind of stuff to keep your eye out for. Is like when you see the weakness, you can get a premium juicy entry by waiting for the market to screw other people and then catching it because you were in the right mindset.
Yeah. And you've seen it 1,000 times.
Yes, yes. Eventually, once you see it a
Yeah.
thousand times, I mentioned, yeah, it's like this pattern. Actually, I was messaging you the other day where I was like, we've seen this pattern over and over, right?
Yeah.
It's a rising wedge, false
Is that
breakdown,
morning
pop to the
during all-time
top.
high. Yeah.
Right, but then when I was messaging you and we saw this like probably 3 times, right? But then I was messaging you and then I was like, all right, we have a rising wedge. And then I said, well, we've seen that 3 times now, and maybe we're just gonna squeeze. So then, then we did squeeze. I happened to be right at that time, but that's not my point. That's not the point here. The point is that here in the scenario on the left it screwed the buyers. And,
Hmm.
and you have to think about what that looks like when the market is doing it. Because in both scenarios, and think about how it looks leading up to the scenarios. Because in both scenarios, you get everything from the left, you get the rising wedge, right? And you get the breakdown. And you get the fake out breakdown. All right. In both scenarios, you get that. And then the question is, now you see that it's bullish. That's obvious to everyone and their brother that's looking at the market. Everyone and their mom looking at the market can see that it's bullish. Everyone sees the potential breakdown. And then it's like, who is it going to screw? Is it going to just flush, right? And knock everyone out that way? Is it going to, and if it just flushes, that's like scenario one, just the flush. Scenario 2A and 2B are it pops back up near the top, right? Scenario two is it pops near the top, and then scenario 2A is it screws the shorters and keeps running. Scenario 2B is it screws the buyers and flushes back down. Then scenario three is it just straight up chops around the highs. I mean, literally up, down, sideways. And who is the market trying to screw at that time? And what do you really believe is going to happen?
Mhm.
And what does it look like in those moments? It's like because when it scenario 2A, where it grinds to the top, false breakdown, gets back up. Scenario 2A is it looks like this. It looks like choppy, grind up consolidation, right? Scenario uh, 2B looks like sharp rejection and then come back down. So it's like your job, I think, as a trader is to identify those nuances in detecting who's getting screwed by the market.
Yeah.
Does that all actually make sense?
Yeah,
That type
absolutely.
of stuff? Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Then we could probably hit the next one. I think that this one, keep in mind, so I do think the 20 break even is pretty good. I think we talked about tightening up your stop, and I think
Yep.
that's good. I think a 20 stop is too big. I kind of didn't expect I maybe I should have caught on that you were killing it so quick, but I think a 20 stop is probably too big. Probably like a 15 to a 10 is tight. A 10 is hard. I used a 10. But you know, this right here, you took half off at 20. Don't be afraid to just go like break even plus five because once you get, and see what happens there, because ultimately this could have been a 40 pointer. Or what is that? 50 pointer.
Yeah.
So, just something to think about. But so you took your first 100 trades and I reviewed half of them. Um, And now let's think about what your next 100 trades are going to look like with the tighter stop, with the taking profit a little less than 20 for half of it, and then you can review again.
Yep.
That's what's so awesome about collecting all that data. But whatever, enough of that ranting. I think that all makes sense talking about the psychology. Definitely imagine those scenarios, look at who the market's trying to screw, and we can see what happens in your next 100.
Yep.
And that was a great trade. I think the first one you were too early, right? You chased, but the second one, this was a great trade.
Yeah.
This one, what do you think about that one? What's up with that one?
This was I th in my head, my idea was that we were going to continue down because of this.
Uh-huh.
I should know better because of this. So I try to go through candlestick types and play them. Of course, once again, on the 1 minute, you could get 27 hammers and it may not do what a hammer, is supposed to per se do. But basically, this to me in my head was going to be this, right? So we were coming down, shot up, almost kind of like a liquidity sleep, and I thought we could continue, and we got the opposite. Um, I waited way too long here because I think if I would have gotten in pretty like a little bit earlier, I probably would have been okay, or at least I could have taken. Yeah, I would have been okay because we would have hit. I would have hit right here for 20 points, but I got in way too late on this. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
This one I thought we were gonna pop all the way back up and then come down again, but I
Um,
at least I stopped on it green, but I would have liked to have. I think me and you talked about this today, right? Because I wasn't taking like 10, 15 point trades. I was letting them just kind of like if they didn't hit 20, they would just come all the way back. Um, this is before we even had that conversation, but this is one of those ones where like if I would have just set a 10 point stop, um, I don't even know if I would have gotten stopped down on that at 10
mm,
points.
I mean, this was a long.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Yes, yes. I'm
So,
sorry. Yes, my brain was
um,
working backwards here, but yes.
no worry. I mean, I think ultimately, one second, I'm changing up my screens real quick.
And this is where you see like my decision making. I have sort of the right idea, but I way too late. And even if it like obviously continues down, but I
I
would
mean,
have liked to have been much lower on this, I guess is what I'm saying.
yeah, I mean, I'm trying to not impose my own trading style onto my reviews, but in my opinion, this was a no. What was your confirmation to go along? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yep.
I don't think there was any. I mean, I guess what you do have is we can look at the structure. All right, you do have um this is this no because you were up here, right? Because that's 134. Where's 134? Is it like here? So you got in like yeah, so on the 5 minute chart you're right about here. Um, yeah, there's I mean, I guess the dojis, you do have the dojis, but and you did get a red candle. It kind of went through the dojis. Yeah, it went through your dojis and then picked up. It's just like, did you really I don't think you had, do you, at the time, did you think you had confirmation for that long?
I think I was trying to play it off the chart on this one. That's what
Okay.
I don't want to say I think I'm pretty sure based on this trade I believe in my head I was play and that's also probably where the reason why I only went in with two.
Yeah.
You see how I only because I the confidence level on this one was low.
Yeah,
Um,
true.
dare I call this like yeah I'm pretty sure I was trying to play a price action like candlestick without any sort of confirmation trade
Yeah.
here, which me and you spoke about. Like I'm not taking this kind of stuff anymore. I'm going to try to take this stuff anymore. But that's basically what I was looking for here was it. And like once again, and I was just too late too on top of it. Like it's not a great trade as it is, but I
You
feel
know,
like if I was gonna be totally in on it, I should have taken it earlier and at least could have sort of made it work for me.
yeah, so I guess in my opinion, I don't think you probably should even have taken because there's no confirmation. But you know what I do like a lot is that you cut it like you got this doji and then this doji looks like it started popping and then comes back
Yeah.
down. And I think the cut there is a lot of great intuition. But ultimately the great intuition had to save you from a no confirmation trade. I
Yep.
mean, you had a lot of time. I think the fact that it gave you a lot of time to get out does indicate in hindsight that the trade wasn't terrible because it didn't just rip you.
Yeah.
Um, so, but yeah, I mean, this is ultimately a counter trend. I think this one you might want to shoot this one over December, like these type of trades, because I don't really like to take counter trends unless I have a level, like a serious level, and I'll take a candlestick or something like that. But that's not really my style. So I think if you take counter trends, if you want to take counter trends, shoot them over to Semper, see what so he can see what your levels are and stuff. Because I am probably going to be overly critical of them. Now, I will say this counter trend, right? If you're going to go for a counter trend, look where the really strong green candles are. Right, like this
Mm.
one at what about like 110 or something like that, right? And then you got like or is it 100? Then 95, more like 100, yeah. And then it's like that popped a little bit, but ultimately got flushed, so it's like even those can get screwed. But
Yeah. This was a very choppy one at best. Like it was just it kept going and
yeah, and I also think if your break even wasn't tight enough to get you stopped out of this one, I think maybe you would have even been happily still trailing that.
yeah.
So,
I
but yeah,
probably would have never taken this if this was still going.
yeah. But the first trade too early, the second one was great. Third one, a little bit of no confirmation counter trend,
Yep.
but
And
that's okay.
then this one was a short and probably a continuation type ordeal.
Right,
We got in the middle of it. Um, but ultimately we went right up.
right.
And this one I actually cut short as well. I took 10 points on this one instead of 20. And that may have come from some previous conversation that we had, but
Yeah. So you took a 10 point
uh
stop.
10-point loss. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, and look at that. I mean, it saved you from losing more.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it could 96 now. That would have like just stopped you out all the way at the top.
Yeah.
That would have been pretty brutal. Yeah.
So this is, I mean, I may have even tried fibbing this one
Uh-huh.
because we raged back up here. But looking at the five, I mean, oop, I didn't mean to do that. Looking at the five, we were in we were in a already in a downtrend here. I noticed that when these spread apart and we're in it for a while, and obviously it's not all the time, but taking a trade somewhere around here is risky.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure. I mean, scrunch up this 1 minute. What you got here, is you have one, two, three, four waves, and you're going for wave number five.
yeah, which is after three, it's like,
Yeah, yeah. So just a little bit of psychology stuff to work on. I mean, the fact that this right here is actually on like a fifth wave right here. This is actually what we're talking about market psychology. This is where the market screws people. When it just finally boom capitulates down and then it starts this V. The V is the signal. So tops roll, bottoms V. So it's like when it
yep,
finally hits that V and when it capitulates and then hits that V, don't try it. Don't I wouldn't be fighting that because now when you know market psychology wise how many stops probably got swept there, and
yeah,
it didn't even give them a chance to get back. Like this built a bunch of buyers so it can yank them back down. This built some buyers so it can yank them back down. This one is like, oh, if you're not in, it's too late. So that's like all the strength and stuff.
yeah. I'm actually curious. Well, I'm not gonna change it. I was curious what the 15 looks like on this one too, but yeah. So that was that, and then this trade, I'm not. I was looking at this one yesterday, and I'm not too sure as to what the hell happened with these two. I don't know if because I was so red for so long that I started getting the heebie-jeebies, but I took this trade at the bottom, literally,
Yeah.
and it came back up. Um, didn't quite hit my stop. I think we just brushed it because I think I may have even sent a screenshot of it. And then it came down,
Mm.
and I don't know.
It didn't quite hit your 20 point.
I think that's what it was. Was this one of the? No, 88. Oh no, 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 no. Okay, my brain's not working. All
Yeah,
right. So
you
yeah,
needed to come down
yeah. I
here.
was pissed. I think I sent this one in chat because I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Um. So I got in a little bit early, right? It came up on me, fine. And I think this may have been even one of the ones that where a 10-point stop wouldn't have mattered either, right? Yeah. So this wouldn't have mattered. And yeah. So then I tried again. So we could talk about both these at the same time. I tried again,
Yeah.
and granted, neither one of these were a losing trade. I still cut them, but just dude, I was like annoyed. I don't know. I was annoyed. I think this day, because this was Monday, I think we said this day and like Tuesday is when I reached out to you and I was like, we got to talk because I was green for a while with like one red day here and there, and then I went straight red for like 5 days, and I didn't know what the fuck was going on. And
Yeah. I
I
mean
know
that
part of that was, and I know part of that was last week because last week was a shit show. But
yeah.
I hit Monday or Tuesday and I was still red. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So that's where these cut myself short trades came in. This was what? This one was 88.5, and we went all the way down to, so once again, like 15 points, 13 points, whatever it is. And yeah, I think I cut it early though, because I was just kind of
Yeah.
like I saw it come back at me, and I was like, I'm not doing like I don't want to lose. So
Well, that's exactly what you want to do is like, um, I mean, two things. When you get into a trade and it immediately goes against you, more often than not, you should just cut it. But and that's why I have the 10-point stop is so that if I get into a trade and immediately goes against me, I have no choice but to cut it. Um, but yeah, it's like when you get into a trade, if you have a wider stop and it immediately goes against you and then it comes back into profit, take that profit. Because if you were almost down 20 points and now you're up 30 points, you basically made 30 points
Hmm.
because this money's gone. Like it's like it was a loss. That money is basically gone, and then you gained it all back and more. So one thing that I try to do is like, with my 10-point stop, if I get in and the price like barely comes down to it and then bounces, I'm getting out break even and reassessing most of the time.
Yeah.
Um, so there's something to think about. Um, I don't know, and it's also like yeah, I think perhaps stuck in the short mentality, which is another thing of how the market can try to screw you, is that over on the right, I know we can't see it, but there was a giant red candle, and now we're working our way back
Yep.
up into here.
Sorry.
That's all right. Now we're working. There was a giant red candle back here, and then we're working our way back up here, and now we're in a downtrend. Except and then again, think about how the market is trying to trick people, or how the market tricks people. Is that once we finally work our way up here, and then we're here, it's like, all right, it's gonna screw these buyers by just washing them out, right? And it could have done a lot of things. Remember, it could have just kept going up, or it could have chopped, but it chose to dump. All right, and since it chose to dump, um, how is it going to screw these sellers is by giving an aggressive pop back, which this is actually probably a beautiful golden pocket, but giving an aggressive pop back or something like that, and then just coming back down. And then here it actually kind of screwed those fibbers by not even giving them a fresh low. Um, so you got to really be prepared for that and not like once the market already shows a big move, um, don't expect total 100% follow through.
Yep.
Because I totally see why you're red this week, and a lot of this stuff could have been cut. Like the chasing, uh, first one chasing, second one good. This one no confirmation counter trend. Um, what is that? I think two, no, one no confirmation counter trend right
It
here.
was a one, two, and the
Um,
three. Yep. And the fourth one was here.
yeah, this one, I mean, this one, yeah, just going like shorting again, just kind of asking for too much, like kind of shorting the lows. Like it's almost like, I mean, so this wave down, a wave down, and you wanted it to like do kind of like that. Um, Asking for a little too much at that point from the market. The market's got to screw some people first. And then over here, I mean, yeah, chasing. I hate, I'm trying not to be. I think I'm not too good at delivery.
You have
So,
to. No, 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 no. You have to be the way. It's fine. It's to find the way you're saying
well,
it because I honestly like it's.
negative
The
self-talk is also not the best.
the chasing thing, and I know we spoke about this offline, and this is before we spoke, but the chasing thing
The
is bad.
chasing.
The chasing and the shorting bias was bad Monday or
Yeah,
whatever. And like so you'll see I started to correct it a little bit. Obviously, but it's yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I'd say there's four chasers and one no confirmation counter trend and one really good trade. So it's like try to not do what's bad and focus on really what's good and how the market is screwing all of the bad trades and how
Yep.
to get around it. But overall, what would you maybe remember with it was this day? This day was probably red.
Monday, Tuesday were red days, yes. So this day and the
Yeah.
next day were red, yeah.
Okay. All right, we can check out the next one.
Oh, and this was that night. Remember this?
Mm-hmm.
I think me and you spoke about this.
Mm-hmm.
Where the hell was this?
Hmm.
This was we don't have to review this trade. I don't want to review this trade because I know this trade was stupid and it was not.
Yeah.
If I had one dumb trade in the last 3 weeks that was like total blatant like just stupidity, this was it.
Okay.
This was I was allowed my one stupidity trade and this was it. So we're gonna move on from that one. But this
Okay.
day was this that day was red, and then this day, because this was a new day, right? This was at night, was obviously also red. So we're gonna move on here.
Okay.
All right, so where are we? So this is 10 in the morning, and here we are at 10 in the morning. So this is Tuesday, and I am looking for the downward follow through. Um, but once again, I'm late on this one. We had a cross here. 5 minute cross was obviously quite a bit later, which I missed. And yeah, this is just, I guess you call this one chasing as well.
Um, hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, ultimately, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because yeah, you see this big structure and I'm thinking like, oh, could this be any momentum? But no, I think it's like when you again the structure break was here, it's like you gotta wait for that pullback. Yep. Okay.
And then the same thing here. This was, all right, so this was the first, so that was the first red, well, if you count the night before, that was the second red one, but that was the first red one of the day. So here we went long. I waited for this. This dumped off, and I was waiting for. I know. I think at one point you said don't try to find tops and bottoms. Um, I am trying to get better with like reversals or count, like just trying to get better with not taking something, selling a bottom or buying a top. Um, but also we can't be perfect as to like, if we're gonna try to take one that's gonna go up from where it's just coming down.
Yeah.
So this one I took at the top here on this candle. This
Okay.
this this reversal candle, I guess you could say almost.
Yeah, this I'm not I don't hate that, you know. I mean, we did
Yeah.
have a total wash. It's like if you're going to try again thinking about how the market is trying to screw people over, it's like people love to guess when the wash is over off of nothing. It's
Yep.
like wait for at least them to get screwed a couple times.
Yep.
Wait for those green candles to pop up and then get wiped at least a couple times. And then maybe on the third time you can catch the bounce. And
Yeah.
that's the whole third wave
I
theory.
saw this hit, so I'm still learning the 666 to 200. This is obviously now I'm using your MAs,
Yeah,
so your MAs are
ended
in
up
here
using
too.
those EMAs. That's all.
Yeah.
That's cool. Then I can
So,
probably understand them better.
but this 666 one here. I saw this come down and literally sit on it. And I believe the 666 is pretty prominent. So it came down, hit it, and then this candle basically was like, nope. And I saw this was pointing up. So I would have liked to have done what I call a semper, where he takes it at like the bottom of the wick here,
Yep.
but I didn't, just
Right.
because I was totally unsure as to whether or not we were gonna keep going. It was holding nicely though. I did watch it come down because, like I said, I took this towards the top of the candle and then I let it run. So, and you'll notice this day too, I only started doing 3 contracts. I wasn't doing 4. I sized down a little bit,
Yeah.
just because I was so consistently red. So yeah, so we entered at 781 and we let this run all the way up and we took it for 20 points at the top and then
Yeah.
I let it come back basically 12 points and stop myself
Okay.
out.
So I
So
think this one's a good learning experience. I mean, think about this one in context of what's going on. Um, One second. I'm just taking some notes here. Um, you got multiple green dojis, but they're not on any level or anything. So we ignore them. And that's the right way to go. Um, it's like there are certain mechanical triggers thinking about these things. And it's like one is you have a strong level and you get a nice candle, whatever, on your strong level. And two is like you're looking at like the third wave already happened. So then you can at least get a V, and who knows if you're gonna break this structure,
Yep.
but you can at least get a V up to the structure. So there are a couple mechanical things you can do because I think this right here, if you're gonna take counter trends, this is how to freaking do it. Is you wait for the level and then you wait for a good candle that you can risk.
Yeah.
So I think that one's for a counter trend, that's one of the nicest I've seen. And then you can use your MAs or your structure for target. I like to always take profit at the split. If I'm going for a counter trend, I want it to at least make it up here.
Hmm.
Maybe I'll take one like at the halfway just to feel good about myself. Take one, but definitely take them at the split. Definitely take them shying the 2 bar, shy a doji, and then you can take them at your MAs and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think this one is good. You let it run. I love that you took this one. I love that you took those two, and then you took another one just 10 points later. I mean, this right here is a it looks like in hindsight an expert counter trend. So the day before you had four chasers, one bad counter trend, and today you have a good counter trend. So compare those two counter trends
Yeah.
and see why this one was so much better.
And I think I felt pretty confident cutting myself here too because of I know Semp uses the 100 a lot. That's a target. Him and
Right,
Mark both use the 100s a lot for targets. So seeing that, that helped me too a little bit.
right.
Just kind of like confirming that I was kind of in the right mindset there. So that was a good one for this day. Then we had a couple bad ones, I believe.
Hey, Mark, do you mark off levels other than the zones?
Do I mark off levels? You said Mark
Yeah.
Zipper, so I don't know if you okay.
No, yeah, yeah. Do you mark off levels?
Oh. Um in terms of what? Like in what way?
Like, you know how I mark off the lines or my zones? I have
S-
lines for dojis and zones
Yeah.
for imbalances.
Yeah, so sometimes I
I'll
do.
be right back.
My issue is Semp is I feel like when I do them, they don't I feel like I mark them off and I'm like all gung ho about them and I obviously like I know like what the imbalances are and I know where the dojis are, but I feel like when I mark them off, they don't always like and I know they're not supposed to always work out, but I don't feel like they work out quite as much as they do for you guys. So I get like
No,
a little
but
bit
but
little bit
but do you mark
discouraged.
off any levels of your entry? Like, do you like
Beforehand,
you're looking at a particular level and you're saying, okay, this is where I think price will come back to and I can get in? Or do you just
I usually just enter. There's been a couple times where I've marked them off, but I usually just enter. When you say like beforehand, but yeah, I usually just enter.
yeah, because I think that'll prevent you from chasing or being too early.
Okay.
And that's not marking off the dojis or the zones like me. It's
Right.
mark off any level of potential entry where you think is either support or demand or something or a certain level that you think it's going to hit. Like my lines have different colors for the lines. So like a white line is a daily level. So I
Yep.
know that one's stronger than my blue level, which is the 30-minute level. And then the purple level is my 5 minute. So I know that level, if there's a 5 minute and a daily and it's coming down to my 5 minute, I'm not thinking that it's gonna bounce on my 5 minute. I'm trying to feel for it.
Yep.
but it might come all the way down to my daily, right?
Hmm.
And something that has Brandon has that has helped Brandon is he'll have two levels and then he'll do the math. He'll be like, okay, it's if I enter early at this level, I got 2 or 3 negative 3 points to my
Yep.
other level, and that's about 100 points or two or whatever, however many points it is. Um, and then he'll do the RR, right? So it's well, his risk reward, which is should I risk 4 points to
Hmm.
make 20, or is this a 1-to-1 where I it's a 4 down and 4 up,
Yeah.
which is probably not worth it. But if I get in at my daily level, that switches my RR to 3-to-1 or something.
I got you. Okay. Yeah, I
And
should get better at marking off levels just in general. Like I do like I will, but it won't be for entries. It'll be more for like, all right, I see that this area could be a heavier support or heavy resistance, but I think in that it's just like in general context, not so much of like this could be an area where I could enter, this could be an area where I can enter. Like, yeah.
because that's what kind of slows me down from getting in early. So I'll mark off either the GP
Hmm.
or say there's a GP that lines up with the Doji or lines up with the 50 SMA or where there's a confluence.
Yep.
I'll mark that level off, and then I'll tell myself I'm not getting in a trade until this level is hit, right? And then also, if you mark off your level, you could say, oh, it's bounced off this level 2 times or 3 times before. This fourth time that it's coming down to it, it probably fail, because the
Okay.
market loves uh, pair, trends of three. So a wave of three up, a tap of a level 3 times, and then the fourth time it usually does the opposite. It'll squeeze up or it'll squeeze or dump down. And that
Okay.
might help you with your entries. I'm not saying just try it out. Like
No, yeah, yeah,
wherever
yeah.
you
No,
think you're gonna
absolutely.
get in is I'll mark a line off and be like, okay, we gotta break through this level. Because remember, you always have to break through a level and then retest it to confirm it to go up or down or whatever.
Right.
But you have to tell yourself, okay, we broke through it. I'm gonna get in at the first tap, or if I get a lower high into that level, I'm gonna wait for that level to hold and then get in. Because especially if you're trading MNQ or NQ, you'll notice that sometimes NQ will slip that level, wick below that level, and then the body will close above that level.
Right.
And then I'm like, okay, if the next candle opens up strong, I'm gonna take it. Or if it holds that level again on the second candle, I'm gonna get it. It's kind of like a guide, kind of like the
Hmm.
rails at a bowling alley, where hey, if this level hits the first time, it's a lot. Because like today, I was taking a lot of first time hits on my levels, and
Yep.
I would scout 300 points. I mean, $300, and then get profit stop at 100. And then again, it would bounce at my level for the first time. I could have locked in 500, and then I got profit stop again. That third time, it bounced up to 500. I locked in two at 500, and then the last one I let it go down to 250, and then I got profit stop. But the trades were still green, but
Right.
they didn't play out as good as I thought they would. And there's probably the only day where I got profit stop 3 times in 3 trades in a row.
Okay. When you're marking your levels, obviously you're doing them off of for entries. You're doing them off of like imbalances, dojis,
Yeah, like
um,
sometimes I'll mark
dims.
the zone imbalance, and then say the wick is really far from the body, then I'll put a line on the body.
Okay.
Like if it's coming from the top, right? If it's coming down to the doji body, then I'll put the line on top of the body, like
Yep.
on the top side of the body. And if it's coming from the bottom, because it's going to be the first resistance, I'll put it on the bottom side of the doji body.
Okay. All right.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it kind of slows you down. You're like,
Mhm.
the way that it's coming down to my level, it kind of makes you rethink.
I
Even
definitely
if
got to
you're
slow down.
and it helps you slow down. And like what you should be thinking is, I'm not getting in a trade until this level gets confirmed or retested or something. Um, that might slow you down a little bit,
Okay.
or at least make you question yourself. Be like, okay, I gotta take it slow because this level's already been tested 3 times. I'm not gonna enter, and I'm just gonna wait a little bit.
Cool.
Do
What do
you
you?
think that FOMC last week had something to do with your red streak?
Yeah. Um, I mean, I don't know, Toad, what do you think? We had a like a basically a 3 hour conversation on it.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I'm really trying as we get further into finding my way. I really want. I have a um. I actually had a pretty long conversation with my mother. Actually, maybe a little too deep for an episode here, but she pointed some stuff out about me. About some conflicts. And I think it's always true. I'm very hard to break. I can be very pushy with what I think. And as we get further into finding my way, I really don't want to be prescribing too much, but in my opinion, like kind of like you have to figure it out yourself, I think, to really believe it. But yeah, I think FOMC all-time high week, yeah, I think that screws traders really hard, and you're newer and you came out of it pretty wounded, and yeah, I think it clearly had an impact on Monday and Tuesday, in my
yeah,
opinion.
I was red, I think Wednesday, Thursday, Friday last week, or was it Thursday, Friday? It was either Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Thursday, Friday, and then I was red Monday, Tuesday this week. Yeah, yeah, and I don't want to like, and I think Semp, you said this too at some point in chat. Like, we learned to trade those days, right? We don't want to shut because a lot of people, a lot of mentors, a lot of people like just don't trade CPI, just don't trade FOMC, don't trade um NFP, like things like that. Like, just avoid it entirely. Which I'm sure you could, like
Sim
you
it.
could, you could, you sim right, you sim it. But at the same time, like, you could also learn to trade it, like, right? Like, but
Yeah.
I guess it depends on what mindset you're of. I,
But
I
you
don't
don't
want
have
to,
to.
You
right?
don't have to, but you're gonna miss a week or two every month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
mm, I don't think that you don't have to take off the whole week just for CPI, but and you don't have to take off the whole week just for FOMC.
Right.
But when it's FOMC and a 200-point gap up into all-time high,
Yeah. That's what I think. Really, I think the all-time high trading was brutal. Like, dude, you would start the day off, and it was like, all right, like we're gonna break up, we're gonna go up, and then
mhm,
it just grinded up all day.
it puts your and then that puts your whole mentality into a chasing mentality. Like
Yeah.
I don't think it's coincidental that on Monday you had four chasing trades and the all-time high week is chasey.
Yep.
So,
Um, yeah. Yeah, I think that's what threw me off. I honestly, and once again, I'm also not the kind of person to be like, well, here's my problem. Like, here's why. It's not like I have things to fix. Like, there's no question about it. And Toad and I, being data people, like Toad and I were both like, all right, let's review the data. And like, sure enough, like 10-point stop, um, a 10-point stop for me would have saved me, I don't know, something like 200 points or something. I don't even know. It was a lot. So, uh, yeah, like just honing in on like things that I can do to kind of help myself. Um,
yeah.
that's for sure. So this day was like kind of the tail end of that, and that was like when me and you kind of really started like hammering things out and going through trades and like what I should change and
hmm
whatever. So yeah,
Yeah, this one this one here, all right, there is a all right, so I don't hate this one because there is actually an argument to be made for when a trade closes above or gets above a V or a W, but in your case, you only have the V.
yeah,
Um, And was this what day was? Oh no,
This was still
I
for
do
Tuesday.
know a trader, and I saw his executions, and I know he trades like 20 lot NQ trades, and I know he makes money. And I do know a trader that I have seen a trade where right here he's like buy, 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 and then I saw him get stopped out here. Right. And then I saw him here, buy, 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 buy. And then he took a bunch of it here, and then he got stopped. And that was like the style, right? But it's what's a lot more consistent is not just the V, but the W. Um, as you can see, this would be like the ugly W. And
Hmm.
when this finally broke, that's when we got the momentum. But yeah, ultimately, I hate to say it, I think here's another chase trade.
Yep,
Because if you just fib this thing out, I bet it's probably in the golden pocket.
probably. You know, I know it's in the golden pockets. I'm pretty sure I may have fibbed this one out myself after I did it. I
Hmm.
probably screwed myself.
Right.
Yeah, and of course, like s- if I was obviously a little bit earlier here, once again buying tops. Yeah, and was this? I entered in a 51.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, it was almost 20 points to a T. I mean, if it was 10 points, I would have taken the stop and then maybe even like, okay, maybe I should re-enter. But I think
Yeah,
I did
unlike
did
this
some
thing,
same thing.
like this dude, like this right here,
Yeah,
this is exactly what you want to see right in the golden pocket. That's exactly what you want to see is a little candle that you can take a little bit of risk. And then it's just like if you bought right here, even on the break of the candle at 35, it's like pow, you can take most of it off here. It's like dink, 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 profit. So yeah, just
yeah,
another chaser. And and
and
and you definitely want to cut that habit because like we are talking, don't let that become a psychological scar.
yeah. No, I'm recognizing it now. Like reviewing the trades, dude. Reviewing those trades one by one. Whew.
Yeah, man.
I went through what was it, 65 trades or something, or 80 trades, and
Mhm.
by hand, and yeah, it's I see it. I totally see it. And I'm gonna keep doing it. Like I have today and yesterday's trades, and like granted, today started out red, and I took one really shitty trade, which was kind of an accident, but I'll own up to it anyway. But like today and yesterday was green, but I got myself out today. I guess you could say yesterday was just green, but I'm definitely seeing it and reviewing them is helping. And people, I mean, you guys say it all the time, and people say it all the time, like fucking journal and like review, and it's helping. So. Yeah, and this one was the same thing. It was a chase. So I was like, this may have even been a revenge. Like this, like I'm like, fuck, I missed it. Like I'm gonna re-enter and just re-entered way too late. Um, Thinking we were gonna continue up. I probably waited for the red candle back down, and that's what kind of made me be like, I'm gonna buy here and go up. And sure enough, it just went right off. So this was a chase revenge trade. These are my two big reds for this day, I think. And after this day, I think it was like, yeah, me and you talked quite a bit, reviewed trade logs quite a bit here.
Yeah,
So
yeah, makes
double
sense.
chase, double chase.
Yep.
So we can move on to today or yesterday. Um, Yesterday was this right just before 10 a.m. Yesterday we had the huge in the morning, the 9:30 jolt up. And then I'm pretty sure I had fibbed this, I think, when it started to turn. Um, or maybe not. Maybe it wasn't here. I remember yesterday fibbing something because I was trying to really get myself into like trying to be comfortable using them, or taking trades off of them. But
Yeah.
regardless, I started seeing this obviously plowed up and I started seeing this. these red dojis on the
Yeah.
one.
And you
Um,
see how it gave three before it worked?
yeah, yep, exactly, and exactly what you guys are saying.
Although this is like that's kind of arguable. But still,
That
it
one, yeah,
broke. You could say it broke three
yeah,
before because this one didn't get broken. The one at the top didn't get broken. So you could say it broke three and then it worked.
yeah. So I waited for this to kind of get below all of this, and I'm watching it, like I'm watching it go up and down, and that's basically where I entered. I entered -3. I didn't go hard four or anything like that. And I think I don't know if I had set a 10 or a 20 on this. I had set my bracket up today, so I don't know if I had taken a 10-point stop on this one. But anyway, it just went, and I grabbed it, and then I moved up to stop. I took two on the front end, and then I was gonna move it all the way up, but then I was like, oh, let me just leave it at three and see if it continues down or not, because we had just come up so hard. I would rather just leave the potential there to see if it was going to continue down, but it didn't. I mean, it did a little bit, but it didn't go like crazy. So this was the first trade yesterday.
And here is the market screwing.
Yep.
Like here, and just like I mean, this is that rising wedge breakdown. It's like, now what? It's
Yep.
like, probably at least this is like, as you get better at identifying the scenarios, it's like I can say with pretty high confidence, like once it does this, depending on the environment, it's like you got to think about the macro environment. Um, if we're in a bullish environment, once it does this, we're probably at least going to do this.
Hmm.
And then what happens after that? Like, does it break the high? Does it shy the high? I don't know. But if we're in a bullish environment, once we're here or here, whatever, once we're here, we're probably gonna at least do this, right? So it's like never chase this. If we're in a bearish environment, sure, maybe it's worth seeing if the chasing is working in a bearish environment. But ultimately, it's like again, just wait. It's like wait for the market to screw the other noobs, and then be the one that takes their liquidity.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I find myself counter trend. I'm trying not to counter trend trade as much, but I'm also like weirdly getting, I guess, a little bit better at it because I was sucking at it for so long. But on the trend continuation trades, I'm trying to kind of just not like this. I don't think this was intentional, like counter trend. I think I really thought that we were going to start to continue down here. And like I would switch over to the 15 here, but I don't want to script the map, but the chart. But yeah, I'm trying not so much to take counter trend trades, but they weirdly enough are working out for me.
um,
Um,
it seems like they're working out at levels. How you always that's like Semper saying, "Oh, mark those levels
yeah,
and wait for it to hit levels."
yep,
Like really wait, like always for it. Definitely rather miss it than risk it.
yeah. Well, and we'll see at the end of this day. I waited for something else, and I should have fucking. I mean, I could have whatever. We'll talk about it. But yeah, this was trade number one today. First green trade.
Hmm.
Um, good way to start the day. And then trade two was at the end of the day, and I vocally called it out. I actually joked with you guys as the fucking newbie that I am. And I said, hey guys, on the 1 hour chart, there's a gravestone doji.
Uh-huh.
And in all my infinite wisdom, I'm like, I'm gonna wait. And I did, I waited. I absolutely waited on this trade. And we only had two trades yesterday. I took two green trades yesterday and called it a day. I waited and I honestly like it is what it is. Like I don't want to say I was pissed at myself for not just holding longer because it could have been an amazing fucking trade. But yeah, I saw it. It was chopping up here, chopping, chopping, and it started getting lower. I was literally watching it forever, and I kept watching the higher time frames to get the confirmation, right? The one crossed over way earlier, which is fine. The one's noisy. The five crossed over pretty early, but it was kind of just hovering, and it started to flat top up here. And I waited. I mean, I must have waited like 45 minutes to an hour before even saying anything. And then I saw the 1 hour doji form. And then I waited for it to BOS like hard. So it BOS pretty hard, like right about here. And then I let it come down. And I was like, fuck. And I think I said it to you yesterday too, Toad. I was like, I'm waiting for it to retrace. Like
Uh-huh.
I don't want to sell a bottom and get retraced on.
Right.
And that's where the fibs come in, right? So like,
Can you squeeze this up, this chart here? Yeah. Um,
I mean, this is like a
oh, actually
fake.
a little more. Let's see that previous high. Um, all right. You got the rising wedge. Okay, all right. Here's where you can tell it's about that environment again, like who the market's getting. All right, so you have that rising wedge pattern, right? And then you have this scenario, which is what we've kind of mentioned over and over. I guess this was like a recurring theme right here, the rising wedge pattern and stuff. And then at this point, you've got the scenarios, um, up, down, sideways. All right, so you have scenario A comes back to the top, or scenario one, right? And then you got 1A, it just keeps grinding. Uh, 1B, it actually falls back down. And then you got down here, scenario two, is it actually washes out. Although all the way down, that's like probably a whole different scenario. So here you got two, and then you got two, I don't know, whatever. Let's not get crazy with the numbering. And then, but you saw that this did wash down, and then what we're doing here is more rising wedge back to the top. All right, but what do you have at the top? Kind of a double top,
Yep.
kind of almost a triple quadruple if you're really looking at the tight time frames, but I mean kind of. All right, and then you got a wick. You get a wick off the top, a rejection, then you have a strong rejection. It's like these are the nuanced difference in the scenarios that tell you that it actually you can perhaps not chase it, but what all right, what do you have here? Like that's a structure break, right?
Yep.
Um, and this is kind of like there's something there's just something natural in the human psychology that like when someone's listening, it kind of I think it like turns off. It often turns off part of the like figuring out portions. Is like, all right, you got the higher the low, the higher low, the higher high, the higher high, the higher high, the higher high, lower high, lower low. Fib that out, right? Entry, you know. Um, Perhaps a faked out entry first. I don't know. What is this? Maybe it wouldn't have even stopped you out.
Yeah.
So it's like from the chasing back on the other days we were looking at, from the chasing, I there's some sort of like fear here. And the fix to that fear is using those price action tools. It's like when you think you see it, use the price action tool. You know, like a matter of fact, use the price action tool and take a screenshot.
Yep.
So you know that you did it. Um, because you did see the gravestone doji, and and not only that, you got this juicy bear hammer. I mean, that's really nice. I mean, right off the top there,
Yep.
that double top. But the chasing, here's how the market screws people, is it gives them the chase 1 out of 10, 1 out of 20 times, and the nuance is so tight that that it's like because all those other people got burnt because people got burnt chasing over and over again. Now they're afraid to even identify a proper role. So don't that's part of why you got to cut the chasing out is because this right here, the other ones once the lower high was broken, yeah, once it made a fresh low, um, if you fibbed it out, I'm pretty sure they just blasted right through the GP. It didn't go that high, but they just blasted right. This one did not, right? So yeah, it might have been like a fake out, but it's like ultimately the other ones ripped right through the GP. It didn't even give a chance to screw you, but this one did not. So it's like that just emphasizes you really gotta use. I feel like you're not using those price action tools in the moment. Are you?
I mean, today I was, yes.
Today you
Yesterday,
were?
yesterday,
Not this day, right?
no, well, yesterday I may have a little bit, but I don't think I thought to fib this. Or, yeah, I don't think I thought to fib this out.
Yeah, you definitely got to fib those 1 minute structures to 1 minute structure breaks. I mean, really both of them. You definitely got to fib both of them. If you see it, don't chase it. Just fib it. Like right here. So what? You don't get it. Well, technically, you don't even fib. You don't even start drawing the fib until you get the green.
Yep.
So you wouldn't even do this. You'd fib here.
Hmm.
And then you know what? This one might have just been a loss. But then that's a nuance that you got to think about that when the market already gives the win, so to speak, when the market rewards the chasers, so to speak, be wary of the pullback. But this one on the right was super clean. Super clean. It was like a micro structure break, so not a lot of people probably see it. The sellers are still in control on the MACD. There was no buyer wave that took the sellers over. Um, you got the 5 minute RSI is under the average for a period of time, and you have 5 minute RSI, multiple counts of it, the divergence, right? Because here's a fresh high, but RSI is all the way down here. And MACD is just keep going lower. So lots of divergence confluence that you could have used alongside your 1 hour gravestone to actually take this role effectively compared to the other ones. Like go for this whole week, review the trades and see the ones that you chased and see what signals the losers didn't have. So then you can identify what signals are powerful. Like, did those losers have RSI divergence? Did they have MACD divergence? What did the 1 minute histogram look like? What did the 5 minute histogram look like? And see what the differences are between all of that.
Yeah.
Because ultimately only you can trade your own, only
I
you can
think I,
train your
s-
intuition.
think I saw the 5 minute diversions on this one too, and yeah.
Yeah.
I was waiting for it.
Hey,
I
that's all
was
right.
waiting for it.
That's my hesitation is because I'm trying not to be too critical, because I don't want to discourage you. Because it took me 2 years. You know, this November, at the end of this November, I remember because it was about Thanksgiving of 2 years ago. I was on a trip with my girlfriend in a cabin in like Virginia, and we drove all the way there for this nice cabin. It was like Thanksgiving. I remember Brandon had me in a gold. Oh, Brandon had me. I shadowed Brandon on a gold option trade. Um, and then I decided to get out of options and get into futes. And so that's been 2 years, and I just started making consistent money like 6 months ago. So it's like I'm trying not to discourage you, basically. I'm
Mhm.
trying not to be critical. Um, because I still make these mistakes. Well, yeah, like this. I still make these mistakes. I still sometimes forget to fib, but I remember it more often than not.
Right.
You know what I mean? And your behavior is just like a market trend. You're gonna have dips and stuff, but you just want it to look like that, even though
Hmm.
it's a little chaotic, steady up. So
Yep. Yep. This is one of the ones, man. This is
yeah, chat with
it's a
Semper about manifestation and stuff too. That stuff's super awesome. I mean, train your subconscious to make you really believe that you can get it. But
yeah. I wish I would have let this one probably run a little bit more. But I also, well, I closed the one out at in 21. So I actually took a 1 point loss on the second one. I think Semper did pretty well on this one.
hmm
Not saying anything
yeah,
else. I'm just
I
saying
I
I
remember. Yeah,
I
Semper
think
did pretty good. I think
I
he was
think
short here.
I think Semper stole my signal. That's it.
Yeah, I
Hey,
think so.
are you still stacking catalyst, or are you getting good with stacking catalyst?
And I'm sorry, Sam. What do you mean in terms of second catalyst?
Like
Yeah.
you have three forms of signals
Oh
to get
yeah.
in a trade
Yep.
before even getting in a trade. Something that helped me when I was starting to get profitable, and I would go backwards a few times. I would ask myself, am I getting in because of somebody else opinion, or do I have three catalysts that I can confirm or that are in my favor?
I'm
And if
definitely
the
getting
answer is
good with
yes, you
them
get
for
in.
sure. But not all the time. I'll catch myself looking at something and I'll be like, yeah, this looks pretty good. But I like some of the chasers that Toads pointed out, like totally didn't look. And I have to make sure I'm forcing myself to look because the ones that I look on are actually, and I noticed this through reviewing TradeZilla, the ones that I was looking on were good, like really good,
Yep.
or at least like not big losers if they were happen to be a loser or something. Like confirming a cross on MACD on one, confirming a cross on MACD on the other, confirming the RSI, like picking up like I was shouting out divergences all the time. Divergences were working out for me like 3 out of 4 times. Those were like huge. I'm looking for more. So like I think the next one's gonna be really like watching like fibbing stuff out, like getting and I fibbed a lot today. Like I feel like I fibbed probably like 20 times today. And that's where I was like talking to Toad earlier about trying to figure out like where in the fib in the golden pocket, like how to like on a continuation, like where the hell am I gonna take it or this, that, and the third, and combining that with Gia's little video on like how to trade continuation stuff, and but I'm definitely good with like the mechanical portion of being like, yep, this checks out, yep, this checks out, yep, this checks out. It's all like right in front of you. I think my issue more so lies in like, am I gonna get tricked out here, or am I gonna like, is this the proper entry, or am I like buying a short term like high, um, that it's gonna retrace and then go up again? Like that's where I'm getting like where I get crushed, I think a little bit. Um, I definitely see the chasing a lot more for sure, like the chasing for sure. But then you have a day like this where I took two trades and both were decent winners, and I'm like, all right, I'm done because I took what? I didn't even take what the hell? I didn't even take 20 points on this one, but I could have taken whatever on this one, and I took 20 points on the last one and cut one. So I'm definitely getting better with that stuff, but last week threw me off a little bit. I think also last week I had a few times where I had a few confluences on my way and then I took something and it didn't. It screwed me.
Yeah, I would say jumping on to what Semper pointed out. Was this the last day of the week that you have reviews for?
We have
Um,
today, but we don't. I mean, today was pretty standard issue. Today I started implementing 10 point stop, even though my first trade didn't use it. Actually, my second
okay.
trade didn't. My second trade
Uh,
didn't either, but it's fine. We can. I mean, they're quick ones. They're not even.
uh, yeah, so we'll do that, and while we're looking at this, we'll think about we'll highlight on um the catalysts, because I think I actually perhaps I don't know, maybe that FOMC all-time high was so chaotic. I was so focused on the psychology that we didn't emphasize on that enough. But
Yeah.
having your levels, your catalysts, your price action tools are utmost important and not really like non-negotiable every trade
Yeah.
to like get more systematic.
I think I
So
I think I also said it to you, Toad, the other day. I was like, I feel like I need to rewrite my system because like
yeah.
it's a little bit all over the place, and I'm a very checklist oriented person. Like I'm very much like I need to be able to like I can't I get very foggy brained if I don't have something to be like, okay, is this good? Yeah, is this good? Yeah, is this good? Yeah. Like, and that's probably where my like the my comment about being very like things being very subjective, like you know, you watch like certain video, like I hate saying this, but you watch like some of Gia's videos, and he's just like, yeah, just you know, once it comes back up here, and let it enter the trade, and then just walk away and like set your stop loss here, and then just let it go.
Yeah.
Like, I obviously like trading is not always like that, right? You have to have the subjectiveness, and like you were saying, like you can definitely get more being subjective.
Yep.
But I also need to structure myself in my brain because otherwise like it like
Hmm.
I'll screw myself. So
But then
I
go
need
back
to
to those fundamentals.
yeah, I need to make sure that I'm like I have it all written out. Like I know exactly like you know, and I first I was only using one MACD and now I'm using both of them, right? Like even though the one and the 1 minute MACD and RSI are confirming, is the 5 minute ones confirming. So yeah, I definitely need to make sure that's set in stone.
You want to follow a process. Something that I've always told Toad is read it like a book, right? Price action first, so you get a signal on the action, probably like using the imbalance,
hmm
and then you start looking down. Okay, next is moving averages or FIB, and then next is a MACD or RSI, or if you use volume, right? And then you have a checklist. So I got break of structure, check. I got okay, I don't I have a break above a moving average, but I need that moving average to confirm before I get in. Right. So that's okay. And then you wait for price action to go. You go. And I always told Toad that break of structure is your first signal to start planning your trade out.
Yep.
If you don't have break of structure,
Uh-huh.
don't worry about the rest. Don't try
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
stack three other different catalysts. You have to try to create a system and
Hmm.
follow that system to the T. Right. It's like pumping gas, right? What do you gotta do to pump gas? You gotta turn off the engine, go open up the cap. It's not like you can leave the engine on, but what's that gonna cause? That could
It's
cause static or something. You could cause a fire, right?
dangerous. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So if you don't follow your system, then most of the time your trade's not gonna end up in your favor.
Yep.
And if
Hmm.
you follow your system, you might not have as many trades to take, but at least the trades that you do take will be consistent and they will be green.
Yep.
So just read it like a book. Whatever you see first, or maybe read it upside down. I don't know. Whatever, however you read it. Like if you like to look at the R MACD and RSI first before looking at the chart, and then do it that way. I don't recommend it because, like I said, the break of structure and price action will be your first signal.
Yeah. I break a structure is my number one. And I say that because Toad drilled that into my head the first week.
Yep.
He was like,
So always
you have
wait.
to have 1 minute break of structure, otherwise just don't even. And I'm like, that's been my number one, and he knows it too because I've taken a few break of structure trades that didn't work out, and I was because I was too early on them. They were
Yeah,
almost like
and
fake outs.
that's why I wait for the 5 minute break of structure and then I
Yep.
jump down on the 1 minute. Usually,
Hmm.
if I do it that way,
Yep.
I know, and I check the 1 minute real quick. Okay, I got break of structure there. I got break of structure on the five. Already know
Okay.
that. And then, okay, now just start planning out your trade. So where can it pull back to? Is it an imbalance? Is it a moving average? Is it a GP? Is
Hmm.
it whatever it is? Mark that level off, and then say, I'm not getting in a trade until this level. I'm not making a decision until this level is hit.
Hmm.
Whether it's tagging it, shying it, uh, or smashing through it, right? Because if it shies it, most of the time when the level is shied and it's a strong level, it'll come back to it and it'll smash through it.
Yep.
And that's why I sometimes, like today, for example, I sent you guys a trade that I might take, and then it shied my levels. It shied my fishing orders, and I was like, change of plans. I'm not gonna take this. But then the next candle, it didn't create that swing, right? Because it was one fat red, and then a doji, and then it looked like it was gonna go back up, but then the next red candle came back down to my level, and
Mm,
I was not gonna take it, but since it didn't really create a lower high, I took it. I got profit stopped, but I could have made three. I think it was like $420 if I would have locked out at the top of it. But it is what it is, right? Um. So yeah. So just mark off your level, and then if it closes below, like my lines that I use, if the price action is gonna close below, I wouldn't even enter. But like I said, if it's a first time tag, usually those have good bounces, at least 10 to 15 points on
okay.
NQ. Because we always got to be like, okay, is this a first time bounce or is this a second or third? Or usually by the fourth, it's already failing through. But those are the little characteristics that you should start to see. Okay, when it shines my level, it's probably going to come back down and hit it. So then maybe I'll get in there, or maybe I'll get in short on the lower high to go back down to your level if it's worth it.
Okay. Thanks, Sam.
Yeah, bro.
Do you have anything to say, Toad, or should I just?
Oh no, I think I freaking I mean Sam's been doing this longer than I.
I
I think everything he says 100%, bro. I mean,
Yep.
I think that I wrote SOP up on the screen. I think you got it. Yeah, he
Standard
used to say
operating
that to me
procedure.
all the time. Yeah, 100%. Have an SOP for your trading. And that's something that maybe I don't think about too much. Because well, I think about it a lot, but for me, it's like I'm so intuitive. Like that's intuitive is my strength and my weakness that like I've got a lot of that. My number one thing on my SOP is to give my emotions like a quadruple check to make
Yep.
sure I'm thinking, to make sure I can trust my judgment, that my judgment is not compromised. But I would say for you, man, like yeah, in this case, go back to those fundamentals and pay attention to the that SOP. Number one, yeah, you want that BOS or to be aligned with the structure, right? Like it can you can take like this, uh, but try to take it all the way near the previous structure or like at the low or something. You know what I mean? Like look back and often
Yeah,
the
look through
low,
the leg, look behind the leg.
I
yeah.
just Toad,
Because
I'm
even
sorry.
right here is an example. Right here.
I just dumped notes, Toad, in our
Yeah.
chat just so I was typing as Semper was talking earlier, so and just now, so
Okay.
I BOS signal on price action, look for a
Hmm.
Shire tag, check my do an MA or a fib, and then MACD and RSI or RSI, but I usually like both. Like I RSI and MACD. I mean, RSI is fantastic for I know MACD does it, but RSI, man, I catch so many divergences on it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just have a thing for divergences. I don't know.
Right. And the divergence can be the leading signal. Um, and like Semper was just saying, look through that leg there that you don't if you know the market's in a downtrend, you don't have to wait to try to
Yeah.
catch the reversal of the downtrend. But try to all right, like we can use this right here. I mean, look how far this stuff is retracing. It's usually, if you look through the leg, it's often going to be at the lows. If it like breaks through the low,
80
stuff
points.
like that. Yeah, exactly. Like 80 points. So number one, BOS or just the structure. And then number two, that's the worst R in the history of R's. Number two, um, is then start finding your other catalysts. I mean, you have the MACD, you got the RSI, you've got the MAs. I think you're pretty good at candle structure, identifying a good candle. Um, it's like you've got
Mm.
all of these different things. Um, and but number one, yeah, break a structure. So we're gonna focus. We're about halfway through the Find My Way, so I think in the second half, try to be strong and think about these entirely. So let's look at this trade. I mean, that's a chase. Like it's
This
pretty
was
mean chase.
this was a chase, but also an accident. I was setting my brackets. This
Uh,
should not have been 20 points. You can see it's 226 and 444. So usually it'd be 20, right? A flat, but I was setting my bracket, trying to get my bracket set up for the 10. And I had taken this and I'd taken it way too late because I had intended when I saw this, I had intended at the top here. It still wouldn't have been great, but yeah, this was a total botch on my end. And I
okay,
would have gotten stopped out, but it was a total botch on my end this one this morning.
okay. Then let's look
Um,
over at this right one that Semper
this
was looking at.
this
Oh,
one tagger. This was a one tagger 30 points. I think. Oh, this is where I was talking to you today about averaging.
yeah. I remember you said you were like, all
Yeah.
right, if I was averaging and I started at 342, and then I looked at the chart and I was like, well, I wouldn't start at 342. That's pretty high,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you had already started, but that's okay. Let's look at what Semper said. All right, so you have the break structure right here, right?
Yep.
Fib that out, right? All right, and now, yep, you've got other catalysts, right? You've got RSI divergence, big time divergence, RSI big time holding over the average, right? You get the turn of the MACD, right? That right there is three grade A catalysts.
Hey, Liga, right there, the RSI would have been the lead right there. That's why I marked it as one. See how
Yep.
the
Mm.
divergence started,
Yep.
right? And then you got break of structure right there where I
And
marked two,
what's crazy is I would
and then
always
boom.
look for that. I don't know why I didn't look for it today. Maybe I did and I took the trade way too late or something because I mean obviously it continued up a little bit, but I I don't know why I got into this one so late.
Well,
Bless you.
thanks, bro. Until you get that break of structure, the RSI divergence, like Semper's saying, is not active. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's not activated. It doesn't get actually triggered. It
Yeah.
just looks like something could happen. Yeah, you could.
They're usually pretty early. They're usually like from
They're
what I
mad
noticed,
early.
they're usually like they're like one of the very early indicators, which I like because yeah.
Yeah, so then once you start seeing that divergence, and then usually, I mean, this MACD, this was just because this leg was so crazy down that this MACD actually curled before. I think that's actually, I don't think that's too common. I don't know, but it's like, all right, so, but either way, yeah, number one, like said, boom, you got that RSI divergence, big time. All right, so it's like, all right, we got the RSI divergence. Now I'm looking for something else. It's like, oh, now we have the MACD turn. All right, so now we've got two things. We got two confluences here, but we just don't have structure. All right, now structure broke, but don't chase it. Don't chase it. You got to fib it, right? And then you fib it, and then what are you waiting for? And for me, a green candle. Uh, Semper said a lot, buy the bottom of a red candle to go up and sell a green candle to go down. I think that comes down to like kind of like nuance, like because I never do that and it works out for me. Semper does do that and it works out for him. I don't know, but the point is,
That just comes from experience and how our brain picks up a candle. All
yeah,
of us will have different entries, even though we have same levels. We'll have
Hmm.
different entries. We're you
yeah,
just just like a thousand ways to do this one task on Windows,
Yep.
a thousand different ways to do the same thing. It's the same thing with trading. And we all have different algos that we develop from just watching the candles uh, be created and how they act on your levels. And that's why I stress to you guys. And that's another reason why I told you to mark off your level is so you can visually see it, the candle hit your level instead of just like hitting that middle of the air,
Right.
unless you
Right.
have a fib or a moving average. But if you mark off your level and then you got that level to be like, okay, this level happened 2 hours ago and it hasn't been touched, and I know it's a strong level, and now, you know, 5 minutes before the next hour bar starts or whatever, you're looking at the 5 minute and you're like, okay, it's coming down to my level. This is the first time tagging it. It lines up with my GP. It lines up with my moving average. It lines up with my fib. It lines up with my imbalance or FVG or whatever it is. Um, Now let me see how it's gonna hit that level. And then after that's what I was telling the other member, Starscream, is like for the first 5 trades of your new strategy or what, like let's say you added that imbalance, for the first 5 trades, hit it when it, like as soon as it hits your level, get it. And then watch it develop, right? No matter what. And then for the next 5 trades, wait, let it hit your level, and then make a decision to get it. Right. And then the next 5 trades, you'll be like, all right, I'm gonna wait for a candle to hit my level, and then on the next candle, I'll get in, or maybe the maybe if it creates a doji on my level, I'll wait for the doji to be finished, and then on the next candle, I'll get in if the body's above my level or something like that. So like that, you already, and out of those 15 trades, you're gonna be like, okay, the first time I got in on the tag, I went red. I got stopped out 3 times out of the 5. On this next 5, I went more green, and then on the last one, I missed a trade or something, you
Hmm.
know. And then you're gonna start to see what kind of candle you like to enter on, and that might help you be like identify when a strong if the momentum is in the price action to go in your favor. And I like that Toad said is sometimes when you enter and it goes like immediately green, like I'll enter a trade with one NQ contract, and if it goes negative 30, like as soon as I push the button, I know that I might get stopped out like instantly on
Yeah.
the
Hmm.
I have a feeling, right? But if I get in a trade and it immediately goes green, it's like a different mindset. I don't know. It's just different. And then you're gonna start to develop that algo. And I think the hour between the dog and the wolf, I think you should read that book if you haven't read it, because
Okay.
it talks about the algo. The gut algo is our vagus nerve, which is our second brain.
Yep.
Okay.
Uh, so yeah, read that book and then start reading. I don't know if you read any of the other books that Toad recommended.
I'm almost done with trading in the zone again for the second time.
In the
Yeah,
zone.
The Biggest Losers Win. That's a good book. It has some good lessons in there. Um, and then yeah, The Hour Between the Dog and the Wolf, and then I think it's 48 Laws of Power. That one's really freaking, because it goes into all kinds of other stuff, but it does talk about trading in there.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right. I will get the. I'm gonna. I should be done with trading in the zone again for a second time. That book is crazy. I remember the first time I read it, I was like, "Holy fuck!" Um, I'm gonna probably may even read it again for a third time at some point. But I will. I'm gonna do the hour between the dog and the wolf next because you talk about that one a lot, and then I'll move on to the other two.
Yeah, that psychology stuff is just fire. Like it's
Yeah.
but
Oh
but
shit.
number one, I logged you
Oh.
out.
Oh.
Um,
Whoop.
yeah, I'll have to blur that out. But yeah, every trade that you get into, make sure you're stacking at least three catalysts, and the number one non-negotiable is going to be that structure.
Structure.
Um, let's make sure you're doing that. Uh, for this week, number two, number three can be whatever you want. RSI divergence, MACD turn, strong MAs. Um, ideally, you could have up to five for a gray day.
Yep.
Like we discussed all the way back in the beginning.
I've been
And
trying for I've been trying for three, and then if I have four, I would go full bore. So originally it was two contracts, three contracts. Now we've shifted to three and four. Um, yeah, I'm gonna aim for probably four to even start. I mean, what I don't know, whatever you think, Toad. I'm gonna aim, I think, for four initially, and then five for like a grade A.
yeah, I mean, do what you're comfortable with, but only go up um properly according to your win rate.
Okay.
So
In terms of,
I
I'm
just
sorry, I'm
think
not going to five contracts yet. I'm going to, I'm
right,
sorry, five confluent, like 5 points, I guess I should say.
right. I
I,
mean, if you're tightening up your stop,
yep,
I think it would be reasonable if you want to do like five or six, because you were
yeah,
doing three on a 20 point. So if you're doing a 10 point, maybe five.
okay,
Take two off at take two off at like 55 and then one off at 20, or just take three off at 20-ish or like just under 20, and then just work with the other ones is what I would do.
okay,
Um, but ultimately, yeah, just definitely look for that confluence. Like this right here, um, even though it worked. And this is like, you got the bear hammer, you got it off the top. I get that. That's not too bad. It on the 1 minute doesn't look too bad. You get the secondary confirmation candle, right?
yep.
You
I
get
ended
this
right
one
here.
that breaks it, and you get
So
that one.
I was also looking at this left-hand side here and seeing where we were gonna get through. Are we gonna get through this?
Right.
Watching it chop up here and kind of flatten out a little bit.
Right. But
That's what made me into
ultimately,
this.
this right here, you don't really have the structure going for you, anything like that. You know what I mean? Like if you had done this here, yeah, like even though it works really well, even though it worked, um, it's like you don't try to for at least 1 week, I would say, really make sure you have um all of your confluence. What's this one you're pointing out here?
Oh. That right there is where he should have got in after either that green candle or the red candle, because
Uh-huh.
the uh even though it's kind of top ticking, uh, hold on one second. Uh,
This was a counter trend trade right here.
which one? This one?
Yeah, the second one.
This one?
Yeah, that's what this one right here on this line. Yeah.
Uh, over here, that green candle is just because it created this imbalance and it bounced right here. See?
Yep, and it filled
And
it. It's
then
a
it
tiny one, but it filled it.
and it filled that wick.
It hit the doji.
It
Well,
hit the doji
or
and
the
it filled this imbalance from these two candles right here. Once that filled and hit that doji, I would have had a level on that doji, as a matter of fact. I would have had a line. And that would have been like, okay, it tagged it and it looks weak. Like it if freaking just tagged the level and it started rejecting it hard. and that's the sweep. That's a sweep right there.
Yep.
That's what you want to see. So you could either enter it at the doji because they would have filled that imbalance, or you could have waited for the confirmation of all these dojis right here to break right there. I would have probably waited for that doji doji right after the green candle. I probably would have entered there or on the. I would have entered on the green, but and that's only because of the imbalance that JFX guy taught us, or we learned, or that I
Hmm.
learned, is why I would have entered. And that's how I've been top taking all these moves.
Yeah, I would say like so Semper's clearly got that down and it's like because that's how he's trained himself to really do it. And I've trained myself and I would say if you take a beginner that hasn't trained themselves either way,
Yep.
if they try to sell the green, they're gonna get stopped out a lot off the top. And if they try to sell the red, they're gonna get stopped out a lot just from the retrace. So it's like I don't I don't know if one method is better than the other. I would imagine. I mean, once you lock down Semper's method, it's probably cleaner. But ultimately, um, ultimately, I guess I'm about to say it comes back to making sure you have your structure and other confluence.
Yep.
Because here, whether you sell the green or you sell the red, as long as you got that structure break and you're selling in the pocket, it would have made it.
Because the only structure that I see is like right here. See that
Yeah,
wick?
yeah,
But I don't really like that. I like for it to be nice and formed, like a little swing, you know?
yeah.
When it looks like this, it's way better than if it looks flat like that. It's kind of like for me, that's an indecision level. And when I'm calling out my pivot points or squeeze points, it's usually levels that are like this. And then
Mhm.
it's coming up to a wick and it's like, okay. And it gets above the dojis. I'm like, okay, if it comes back to the dojis, it's either gonna squeeze up and then probably come down or whatever, or it's just gonna dump down right there. And that's just from watching this shit happen so many times over and over and over. After you've been burned about 50,000 times or something,
Yeah,
just
for real.
trading and losing, your brain's gonna be like, okay, I shouldn't be getting in this trade.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
And what I was gonna tell you is have like two plays, right? You'll have because I've noticed some of your plays, your divergence plays, if you would have waited for the divergence, will happen like 10 or 15 minutes before the break of structure, and then the pullback will happen. So you have about 30 minutes if you're so you should have like grade A divergence play,
Hmm.
right? And then grade A just normal play, like maybe momentum or continuation play.
Mhm.
When like the RSI is in the middle of the channel and you can't really read it that well, but you can have other confirmations.
Okay.
Yerp.
But like that, you'll have like two grade A plays that are just different. And
Right.
I mean, you'll have plenty of time because some of those plays on, especially if you get the divergence on the 5 minute play, I mean, you'll have probably like 30 minutes at
Yep.
least, or 10 to 30 minutes for it to play out, and you might be able to catch it if it has divergence on the 1 minute and catch a play before you could catch a bigger play on the 5 minute. Sometimes that's how Brandon trades. He'll hyper scalp on the 1 minute, and then oh, it's coming up to my 5 minute level. Okay, I'm getting in. I'm loading up. But even though he's scalped like three other times before, but Brandon, he's like on a whole nother level. He's like I'll go himself.
Mm.
If you, yeah, it's hard. It's hard when you're watching somebody else trade live, and
Yeah.
sometimes they can influence your entry,
Yep.
and you can't tolerate it because you don't have the same size account or you can't manage it because you don't have the same nerves or I guess balls
I
to be
said
able to
to, I said to
withstand.
Toad today. I said to Toad, I was like, "Yo, I need to grow a pair." I'm getting tired. Because there was a few trades where I'm like, well, just like the freaking Doji one yesterday. That was just like I could have fucking taken this, and I should have just held it, and I would have been right there with Semp, just one less zero. Um, so I was
Yeah,
just,
but
you know,
and that's where the hard open close. That's where you have to practice that too. You know,
Hmm.
because
yeah,
that will save you so much after you learn that. After you got your entry and your strategy lasered in, like later, the more advanced stages is okay. I'm gonna wait for a hard open close so I don't get wicked out.
yep,
But yeah, that's a more advanced when you already seen millions of candles develop.
Hmm. Yeah, that is an advanced thing because it's so easy to go ahead and catch yourself in a 50-point wash. That's why I don't do that averaging stuff.
Well,
sometimes I do, but
yeah, I don't know when I remember you were saying you were averaging in up. And I was like, I can't do that. I mean, yesterday was the first time I ever did it.
uh,
It feels weird because it's like a psychological thing
yeah,
because it brings your level up, and it's like, fuck.
yeah, I still do that sometimes, but I'm way more specific about it. Like it's got to be I've got to get in again very, very soon after my first entry. Or I've got to let it pull back and I'll just kind of stack a new entry on top of my existing runner.
Yeah, me
So,
sometimes I'll get in at the tag and then it'll bounce and then it'll come back to my level and sometimes slip my level and then come back up and hold above my level. I'll be getting in at that level again as soon as it
yeah.
retests. So that's usually what I do. Sometimes I'll average down, but in my zone, if I have a 30-minute zone and it's not that wide, uh, I'll average in on my zone. Like I'll add one at the top, and if it hits at the bottom, I'm getting in double.
Hmm. Yeah.
And then as soon as it goes green, I'm looking to lock in. But the only sometimes with that is you go green, right? Your money goes green, but you're still red on that contract because you still got in before your actual green got above that level, or above your initial entry.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Kind of, I
Because
think
there's
I'd
been
look.
times where I'll get in and then it'll go down 20 points.
Hmm.
That's freaking $400, right? And you're like, would you average in if you're down 400?
Right.
And then
yeah,
I get
it's
in with two,
tough.
but my average comes down to 250. You know, the red it goes from 400 to 250 because it brought my average down. And then I goes up and I'm green 150, but I'm still red $50 from the initial entry. So if I lock in positive 150, I'll be my first contract, it'll be negative 50. And then if
Yep.
I'll be green on the other two, so I can still close out the trade green. But yeah, sometimes you get that. And that's why I just like entering a full lot and just let him make its mind up.
Yeah.
Either I'm wrong or I'm good.
True, that makes sense. Yeah, the type of style I was doing earlier, the add-ins, a lot of those did kind of screw me, so I did cut a lot of them. It's a lot easier. Makes a lot more sense to manage like an all lot at once. Yeah. But all right, we should go ahead and we can unless anybody has any more, it sounds like you're about to maybe start something. You about to say something,
No, I was just gonna say, um, I don't know what I was gonna say.
Sam? I wish I was. All right. I got some tequila. We can go ahead and yeah, we can wrap this one up. I think coming into this week, like we said, make sure you're doing those three, at least three catalysts. Make sure you're number one looking for that structure. So in order to not chase, right? Always the structure. Number two and three, whatever you want. Four and five would be great. I really don't think there's too much of a win percentage difference between three catalysts and five. I mean, I think the biggest thing is like the time frame, whether the structure is on the 1 minute or the 5 minute. But make sure you're doing that. I think the FOMC week kind of like distracted us from that because
Yep.
that happened your third week in or your fourth week in. FMC in the all-time high. So focus on that. Don't chase. Literally, like all of your losses this whole week we just reviewed are all chasing. So don't chase. Make sure you got the structure. Ideally, 5 minute. Use those fibs, and then find your other confluence. And I think you'll be back up. What did I see here? In a little bit of drawdown, you'll be back up above that in no time. Let's try to get that. I think your account renews on like the 20th or something. So you got probably 2 full weeks.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, think not
All right.
bad. As Senpai says, keep up the good work. I think looking pretty decent.
I turned the corner. I went through a nuclear red week and then turned the corner. So I'm gonna try to end tomorrow green and we're good.
Yeah, it'd be like that. Just don't force.
Yeah, no. No more chasing.
All
Or
right,
you're
cool.
gonna in the green in the
Absolutely.
weekly. Don't be scared.
Absolutely. We can get into some manifestation offline. I'm gonna wrap this up. Thanks to anybody watching. This is season 6, episode 5, Finding My Way with Liga. Let's go.